Our next session is a founder spotlight, featuring entrepreneurs who are not only growing their organizations, but also fostering a culture of innovation. Many startups struggle to cultivate an environment that encourages continuous innovation, which is why it is important to hear the insights of our speaker in this session. I would first like to call upon our esteemed anchor for the session, Dr. Madan Mohan Rao. Dr. Rao is a research director at Your Story Media, charter member of TIE Bangalore, and innovation officer at Big APC. He is also the conference chair at Extensia's Digital Summits in Africa and co-founder of MXR World and Miral India, and author of over 15 books on knowledge management, innovation, and digital media. Madan has spoken in over 90 countries. He has developed frameworks to enhance organizational creativity, knowledge sharing, and innovation programs. Madan is the editor of 5 book series, including the Asia Pacific Internet Handbook and the Knowledge Management Chronicles. He was formerly the communications director at the United Nations Interpress Service and VP at India World Communications. Madan, thank you for being such an inspiration and for joining us today. I would now like to call Ms. Jyoti Narona, who is the CEO and co-founder of Neelitech, a digital transformation evangelist who brings more than 20 years of corporate experience in telecommunication and business process automation. Her passion lies in robotic process automation, and she leads Neelitech's RPA practice with expertise in platforms such as UiPath, Automation Anywhere, and Microsoft Power Platform. Under her leadership, the team has successfully delivered highly effective BOTs to major enterprises both in India and abroad. It is a pleasure to have you with us, Ms. Jyoti.
Slides up. I got a couple of slides to share. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for staying for the best sessions at the end of the day too. No, just kidding. All the sessions were fantastic. Thanks to Pooja and the team for a lovely series of engagements for all of us. 3 of us are going to share a lot of insights for all of you based on stories, the practice of storytelling. We heard a lot about storytelling over the last couple of days. Can we get the slides up? I thought I'd share with you a few to set the context, some resources for you about what storytelling is and how storytelling works and so on. I wear a couple of hats. One is with Your Story as a research director. This is a tool we developed called the Story Canvas about 10 years ago. And we've taught thousands of entrepreneurs and change makers, corporate innovators, and so on about how to tell their stories. We offer this in partnership with Unfold. In fact, last year, 1 week before this event, we had an online workshop for all those who were pitching here on how to tell your story and so on. This is a whole topic by itself. I can share the link with you afterwards. Yeah, next slide. I also want to share with you a whole bunch of resources, reviews about books. We had a lot of sessions yesterday about books, about innovation and so on. You can find all of these here. Quizzes, the story canvas, I talked about it. Photo sparks, essays on art and so on. How many of you are artists over here? Artists, raise your hand. Trick question, wrong answer. All of you are artists, but because of school and corporate pressures, all of you have stamped your artistic creativity out. Anyways, do rekindle your artistic creativity again. We also have, through TIE Bangalore, connects between those of you who want to be mentors. So any of you from the corporate world who wants to be mentors for startups, you can contact TIE. We can set you up with some of these, and we publish quotes about entrepreneurship and creativity on these links. You'll get all these links afterwards, don't worry. And next slide. There's a whole bunch of books about storytelling, and they'll all tell you that you need to develop storytelling, and you're going to hear good examples of people who are going to tell their stories. And for you, the task is story listening. How to listen to stories is an art and a craft by itself. How to develop your own story based on the stories that you listen to. You have to find out how to craft stories of your customers, your business partners, the broader ecosystem players, and so on. So storytelling is a lifelong skill, no matter what you do, whether you're an entrepreneur or a supporter, enabler of an entrepreneur, and so on. And there are many success factors, a good structure for a story like that canvas, emotions, authenticity. It depends on how you tell your stories. They're going to be talking today, but maybe one day they'll be telling their stories through videos, through decks, through AR, VR, who knows. So irrespective of the medium, your story should cut across and deliver emotion and action for different kinds of folks. And last slide. These are a whole bunch of books that you should all be reading about storytelling. You can find reviews of all of these books on our website, yourstory.com. So having set the stage, let's get on with our program now. We have with us two speakers. A couple of folks unfortunately had to cancel for various reasons. But we have with us Jyoti Narona, co-founder of Neelitech. She was earlier with Fulcrum Edu, with Alcatel-Lucent and IBM, graduate of BITS Pilani and RV College of Engineering. A round of applause, please, for Jyoti. She shuttles between Bangalore and Singapore, and we're very glad that she's here today. We should have maybe Shreya from Minerva coming with us a bit later. She's also part of the entrepreneurship cell at Christ University. We have Christ University, some professor over here in the audience. Can you just raise your hands? And one was outside trying to chase the students to come here. And we also have with us Radhika Kaningatti, who's the head of ESG at Wipro. She earlier was with Kapok Seed, Devik Earth, and also the US Environmental Protection Agency, graduate of SJ College of Engineering and Texas Tech. So a big round of applause, please, also for Radhika. So I'm going to invite each of them now to tell their stories. And they're going to present maybe a couple of slides and tell you how the personal connects with the professional. So far today, we've heard a lot, mostly about the professional side of entrepreneurship, case studies, metrics. All that is very important. But what's also important for you as a change maker, whether you're an entrepreneur or intrapreneur, is how you connect the personal to the professional. So it's not just product market fit that matters, but it's founder product fit. So how do you connect to your problem, to your solution, and so on, is a very important part of the storytelling of you as a social change maker, business entrepreneur, and so on. So let me first invite Jyoti to come up on the stage, and or sit over here, or you got a couple of slides, so maybe it might be easier if you stood there. And maybe we should move chairs a bit to the side.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for that. So imagine my pleasure when a very talkative person is called upon the stage to do storytelling and asked to tell their favorite story, right? They're asking me to talk about Neelitech, and it's my favorite kid. I don't want my kids to hear this. So I am very, very happy and honored to be here as a representative of my team to be telling the story of Neelitech. Right? All right. We can move on to the next slide. We just have 3, so bear with me. All right. So this is us. Neelitech is a technology company born out of Bengaluru, and we now have grown into other geographies, and we also have an entity in Singapore. And we have very small teams. See, we say that to our customers, okay? We have one person doing the sales there. So we have very small teams in USA and Dubai also, and we are expanding. But this is a very Indian-born, Indian-based, and a homegrown company, I would say. So we are about 65 of us today, and we are very happy and proud about the gender diversity that's there. We are 80% women. Though we did not, thank you. So we kind of did not start that way. So many people have asked, was there a particular reason, some life experience, something which started this way? While I would have wanted to honorably say there was a very genuine reason, it was a very practical reason which led to a noble direction. So we started this company around the time COVID was happening, right? So we were very unsure of how things would go, and we started completely remotely. This was before any big company started remote working and sort of those things. Even today, we have only a sales office in Bangalore. We don't have an office for the team of 60, because around 12 of them only are in any one city. Everybody else is across the country. We have teams working out of their farms, out of their smaller towns. So when Priya was talking about enabling folks from tier 2 and the smaller cities, we are unintentionally doing exactly that, right? They are very happy to be working what they're working, as long as we're not calling away from their house and whatever they're doing, their families, aged parents, agriculture, businesses of their parents, whatever, right? They need to stay closer to their hometowns. And this is something work from home has enabled them. And we are completely happy to let them work from wherever they want, as long as when the customer wants, we're always present for our customer needs. After all, the customer is the king, right? So that's about it. We are a company which is completely built on passion and trust. I see a lot of things that we took for granted or we didn't realize was a virtue as one of the things. I heard from ISRO, I heard from Harish Bhatt sir when they were speaking about an overarching purpose, right? We all feel that, right? We all feel we have been given a chance to do something much bigger than what we started. So 50% of our team, or maybe even more than that, were not into corporate, were not doing exactly what they are doing today. But they have reinvented themselves, they have upskilled, they have reskilled, they have learned. And above and everything, because it's the need of a startup, they are all entrepreneurs. They are extremely, extremely passionate people, and that's what makes Neelitech. Thank you.
Fantastic. Did you have some slides also, or
Yeah, I think
we
we
just
can
talk?
have,
We just talk here then, come. Yeah.
You can go through the next slides I've spoken about.
Okay.
This is our team. This is actually a video, but in the PDF, very little.
Yeah, sure, you
progress.
can, yes.
This was in our 5th year anniversary. Okay, I think, yeah.
Before Ms. Radhika speaks, I'd like to introduce her. That's okay. I would like to welcome our next panelist who has experienced both the worlds, entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, Ms. Radhika Kaniganti. Ms. Kaniganti is a senior environmental professional with global expertise in sustainability, environmental policies, and regulations in both developed and emerging countries. Holding an MS in environmental engineering, Radhika has over 20 years of professional experience. Today, she will share the lessons that she has learned as an entrepreneur and as an entrepreneur. Thank you, Ms. Radhika. Over to you.
Thanks. Applause, please, for Radhika. So, Radhika, as we just heard, you've been through the startup cycle. You also worked with the government agency and our big corporate. So, very different cultures, mindsets, skills, everything that's involved. So, tell us your story. How did you start? Why did you pivot kind of all over the place and so on?
Okay, thanks. Thanks first for having me, Pooja, and the Conclave team. Thank you. Yeah, so this is, I think the introduction is kind of covered a lot of it, but let me just start off with my interest in sustainability. I mean, I think it goes back. So, I got interested in environment and sustainability, and my degree was in environmental engineering and things like that. And first, before I talk about my journey, I would like to sort of take you through the landscape of how sustainability itself has changed over the years. Right? I think when I got into the field about 20 odd years ago, nobody was talking about it. Right? Nobody was talking about it except for in a few circles, and sustainability was more in terms of compliance. So organizations would look at environmental compliance, within their organizations, and outside of their organizations, it was mostly CSR, the corporate social responsibility, and that was the extent of the understanding of sustainability. And I will not talk about the Tatas and a few other big companies who, ingrained it from the start, but for the most part. When we talk about any change with regards to environment and things like that, it was always through systems and processes, awareness, so institutionalizing some processes, creating awareness, and, sort of building that kind of culture and things like that. About 8 years ago, something happened that completely changed the space. So our IT professionals, who I probably wanted a new problem to solve, and I think sustainability was just there for them to solve. And I think the advent of IT in the sustainability space actually is a game changer, in my opinion. And because of that, I think while we still have to institutionalize processes, while we still have to create awareness, all this was done at a much faster and a larger scale. For example, when I was doing, say, leak detection, water leak detection in pipelines, we would actually go with flow meters, and it was a day-long exercise to just kind of cover one campus. Today, there's an app. I mean, you just have an app, and it gives you the leaks in your pipelines, right? So technology has been a really big game changer, and as a result, there are today so many sustainability startups. Right? The entrepreneurship in the sustainability space has really kick-started and taken off over the last couple, 2-3 years. And I don't have the exact number of sustainability startups, but there's a lot. And around the same time, climate change was started coming into the forefront with all the talk on, the Conference of Parties and, COP26, COP27. So climate change is really sort of, everybody's talking about it. And then because of climate change, sustainability became a part of, everybody's conversation. And organizations started realizing that they need to do more than just CSR. Their way of giving back has to be more than just giving back to society, and more than philanthropy. It has to be ingrained in their strategy, in their systems. And the GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, and a few other frameworks sort of gave an outline on what a company should be looking at in terms of being a responsible business. And I think that's where the entrepreneurship within companies also, there was a lot of opportunity for that. So looking at my journey, I started off with, of course, environment, where I worked in a lot of smaller organizations because I really wanted to make a difference on the ground. And so I worked with Terry and Argyam. And so I was doing a lot of water management and things like that. And then I worked with a lot of startups. So I was part of 2 startups where I was leading product management and things like that, but in the water space and in the air pollution space. And had an opportunity to interact with a lot of startups. So the kind of passion, the kind of, along with the passion, the ups and downs, if you will, right, in a startup journey, I was part of all of that. And now being part of the larger organization at Wipro, I'm seeing the other side of it. I mean, the entrepreneurship, the kind of innovations one has to do to solve the internal problems, right? To sort of go past some of the internal issues. When you compare the two, I would say, I mean, of course, there are very obvious differences, small versus large and, whatever, but the core issues are almost the same, right? We are still working with a tight budget. And, whether it's a small organization, large organization, you're still working within a tight budget. You're still, whatever you build, you want to build for scale, right? And you want, because that's what entrepreneurship, as well as, what you do in a large company, entrepreneurship is all about. And you have to take people along. So while entrepreneurship, you're looking at your customers and your other stakeholders, internally, if you have to get something done, you have to work with a lot of stakeholders and to get your way through. So I said there are a lot of similarities when you look at the two.
Fantastic, great. So she just told us 2 stories right there. One is the story of herself, her journey as an entrepreneur, and the story of sustainability. Okay, so there are multiple flavors of stories. One is the traditional stories as fiction. So movies, OTT, fairy tales, all that stuff. The second is what we just heard, stories of real life people. The third flavor of story is the story of industries. We just heard about the story of sustainability. There's a whole bunch of books published, such as The India IT Story by Chris Gopalakrishnan. There's another book called The India Startup Story about the rise of startups in India and so on. So if you use a frame of story, you can use it to cover almost every human phenomenon, including man versus machine, human versus machine, the rise of AI, the singularity. So it's a very powerful framework to use to apply almost anything that happens in life. My next question for both of you is, you briefly talked about ups and downs. So maybe you can talk about a bit of the emotional roller coaster of a creator. What are the highs? What are the lows? How do you pull yourself up when you have these lows? And oh, very nice. Yeah, come. Please come. Yeah. Please. Give me some more chairs then. Yeah.
People were stuck in traffic, so...
Okay, why don't you take my chair to another chair comes. Till then, you can tell us your story.
Yeah, so
Sit.
this is the other organization. It's Minerva. And for some of you who were here yesterday, you would have seen them collecting their award. They're actually a student-run, startup out of Christ University. So the founder, Parth Maheshwari, was here yesterday collecting his award, and his co-founder is here today. She's just come directly from college and got stuck up in traffic, so excuse her being late. But Shreya, please, you can come in. How would you want to do this, Madhu?
You got some slides? You can sit here, it's easier. You got some slides? Oh yeah, please come up, yes.
First of all, I'd like to apologize on my co-founder's behalf and also on my part. I was just informed a couple of minutes ago, and I left class to attend this session. So I was not aware. So first of all, I'd like to apologize, and also thank you for letting us go on stage and still speak. We had a PPT ready. Yeah. Anyway, hi, my name is Shreya. I'm co-founder Minerva, and my co-founder here unfortunately could not be here with us. We also have two other co-founders who are not here with us today because of unforeseen circumstances. And I'm not sure how many of you all were here yesterday, but Minerva is a student-led startup for the students, by the students. And we are an EdTech platform, and we're here to facilitate all learning needs. Our product is still building, and so as Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think that's precisely what happened today. Because this was not part of my plan. My plan was to sit in my last period tax class and do my assignment and get my 20 marks. And then I'm somehow here waiting, and the auto ride here was terrible. And I'm a little lost, but so Parth is supposed to be here. But this is just to show you all that as a student-led startup, we believe in one word, and that's what let us grow and be part of this throughout our 3-year journey, and that's resilience. That even throughout all of this, and even throughout a lot of the challenges that we had to face along the way, we're still here, and we're still here for each other, and here to represent our startup. And if I had to talk about our journey, I'm a final year, and all of us are final year, third year students at Christ University. And what started off as something like us becoming friends and competing with each other at a fest turned into something so beautiful, and it's probably the most important part of our college life, something that we'll take forward after this as well. So it started off with a fest where the three of us were competing, and one of the things that we had an issue with was the education system. So the two, Parth and Charan, they were fighting with each other, and they were complaining that there are so many loopholes. And the only thing that I could say to them was, then why don't you fix it? If you have such an issue, why don't you fix it? And something that started off with just that small line turned into something that we're putting our heart and soul into right now. And we're proud to say that we're the only student-led startup that also represented India at Eureka, led by IIT Bombay, and we just won an award for that as well. Moving on, one more thing that I would like to mention is that it's funny how people think that student-led startups are very easy. It doesn't require a lot of brain. It's just something that you do for time pass. But I feel like because of this, I'm so sorry if I'm being informal, but because of this, it's easier, and somehow we find it more fulfilling. We're braver in front of investors than our own friends and classmates. When we're supposed to pitch, or when someone asks us what exactly Minerva is, we somehow stumble and, are lost for words when someone our own age or someone in our own friend group asks us. And I don't know why that is, but maybe that's the pro and con of being a student-led startup. You have that strength that, you're learning along the way, but you also have that weakness that no one really in your own group takes you seriously. And only until you show them the accolades and achievements and the awards that you receive, only that's when people start taking you seriously. So this is something that we keep talking about a lot. So we very proud of the fact that we represent our university on multiple levels. We've gone for multiple fests. We've won multiple awards. But we also believe that this is that success trap, but because along the way, there have been so many ups and downs, so many challenges that we had to face. And one thing is that we had to stay humble throughout it all, because you know when you're in college, that one win or that one compliment that you get from someone you know you admire or you look up to can get to your head. And safe to say, it did get to our head, where after a point, it was just us focusing on how it was more about the awards. It was more about us going to these competitions with no actual work being done in the back end. And that is something we had to learn the hard way. Throughout it all, we're currently working very diligently on our product backhand, and we have an incredible UI UX team for the same, which we're very grateful for. We mention them everywhere we go because they're the only ones who took us seriously as students, as 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And I just turned 20 last week, and if there's one thing that I can say that was probably the most fruitful decision of my teens was to be part of Minerva and learn along the way with my friends. We're also very proud to say that we're also one of the startups that you'll see regularly at Draper Startup House. We're the ones moderating the sessions. We're the ones being part of them. And if there's anything, we're learning along the way, and we're very grateful to have everyone on board with us. Thank you.
I know you're sort of catching your breath.
Yeah.
Do we have one more speaker? Or,
Sorry?
do we have one more speaker?
No, that's your part.
Okay.
So, Madan, in 5 minutes to wrap up.
Performance. A belated happy birthday to you. So you're no longer a teenager. You're as old as most of us here in the audience.
no.
And you got nerves of steel. Most of us had an emotional meltdown to come straight from traffic onto a stage in front of a whole bunch of folks.
I
All the
actually
best.
just got screamed at by my auto driver because I didn't give him the right directions.
Oh my God. Okay, wow. So there's more stories behind this story, etc. Yeah. So we were just talking before you came about the ups and downs emotional roller coaster.
Right.
You just told us about your emotional roller coaster, but let's get back to where we were. Yeah. You were saying ups and downs. Yeah.
I think, she summed it up really nicely, but there are a lot more downs, I think, sometimes than ups, right? As an entrepreneur, funding is a big thing, of course, which is common. And then when you have a team of 30, 40 people looking to you to say, I need my salary, as the month turns, where do you get it from? And you don't have funding, and the second thing, of course, your product. Is your product being taken seriously? I hear you when you say, you're not taking seriously. So one of the startups I was part of was in air pollution control, and we had a very innovative product, which was very different from what was in the market. And it was not taken seriously. People would question, is this magic? Is this really possible? And because it was just like the first of its kind, it took a long time to create awareness, to get people on board, to actually, then publish papers and make sure that, we had the right backing to, show that it is actually possible. The technology actually works. So I think, there are a lot of downs. The emotional roller coaster is, I don't even know how to describe that. So, but then that's what kind of makes the ups so cherished. So when you do get that sale, when you get that funding, that kind of high that you get, is of course it makes it all worth it.
The high justifies it all. What would you, in your case, can you share some of your ups and downs and how you overcome the challenges?
Definitely, but before that, am I audible?
Yes.
Before that, I want to tell one thing. You think that people are not taking you seriously. Do you think it was easy if these people have not taken you seriously? We all take you very seriously, and you are the promising one. In Sir Vivekananda's words, right? You are the actual assets of the country. And if you ask Radhika and me, we were thinking, what would we have not given to have started so early, right? We didn't have the opportunity. So you guys have the opportunity. So it's wonderful to see that, right? About the ups and downs. So many people ask, about work-life balance and things like that. And I want to say, what work, what life, right? So we are trying to live whenever there is an opportunity and live it to the fullest, right? And every time else, we're also living because work has become life. So that's an entrepreneur's life, truly, right? So, and sometimes I really wonder, am I a bad mother? Am I a bad wife? And I have to constantly battle with that guilt, and because left on my own, I just want to keep on doing. I feel at least another 2 or 3x of mine is required to make this dream much bigger, right? So that is where there is a very moral dilemma in the whole thing. And I hear you when you say, are we taking, somebody else is taking us seriously. Sometimes that self-doubt is there within us also, right? Especially when I hear of all the wonderful things people have been doing, right? I mean, what are we doing? And then we say, every puzzle fits as a piece into every puzzle piece into the bigger piece. Right, so all these are, I'm saying, at a very higher level, the ups and downs. The ups, of course, are how can we, people who have had kids, maybe when you saw your kid for the first time, when you trekked and reached a peak, which you thought you would not do, all that you can multiply. So you get that every time a deal is closed. So why wouldn't you want to be an entrepreneur is what I feel.
Great. How many of you are storytellers in the audience? Again, trick question. All of you are storytellers. You just need to nurture and bring out the storyteller in you to a much better audience in a much better way, etc. Okay, and hopefully this panel and the tools we shared will be good for you in that sense. So the aim of a story is to convince customers, to convince investors, to convince employees. Who else is the audience of a story? Any guesses in the audience? Winner will get I think Pooja will give you an iPad or something. Who else is the story meant for?
Ourselves.
Yes, absolutely right. The most important audience for the story is yourself. As you go through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, that story will remind you, this is what I put down formally as my narrative, as my story. And this is how, when I go through these moments of, why the hell am I doing all this stuff? Your own story will tell you, this is why I am on this path and this is where I should be going. So my question for you is, going back to the whole ecosystem part of it, entrepreneurs are dealing in ecosystems in the company, with other companies and so on. So in your case, how did it help you getting support from Christ? You mentioned something about IT Bombay and all that stuff. So obviously you're out there a lot.
Yeah.
So how do all these other people out there help you? And how do you engage with them?
I think personally, we're very lucky to be in Christ, at least in terms of our entrepreneurship cell, and also the teachers and the mentorship that we receive from the ecosystem around us. We've also been very lucky to have seniors who have startups as well, who have led us along the right paths. And, the teachers that we have, instead of just taking it in a very bookish manner where they just teach you what these concepts are, they're the ones actually pushing us towards making it an actual concept. And when you come up with, we have entrepreneurship developed projects, which are mandatory for us in our 3 years of college. And they also facilitate the fact that this can be an actual idea, this can be taken up and incubated through our Christ Incubation Cell. So there have been multiple startups that have seen, they've grown from day one of us probably entering Christ, and they've been nurtured and supported on so many levels that they're running startups now. We've had seniors who have gotten funded, one of them has gotten Vicom funded as well, and they're growing really big. And when you see people like this around you, you'd want to leave a similar sort of a mark, if not something bigger. And
Okay, great. A round of applause for Professor Stuti. Dr. Stuti is sitting over there from Christ University. I wish we had all professors like this when we were in college.
She was really worried whether you would make it. So she was with us in all our stress and tension. Thank you.
Hey, Pooja, we have 15 minutes according to this, but you're saying we've got how many minutes left?
We don't because we have Dr. Lakshmi.
Okay, can we do one quick 1 minute question from each of them? Just 1 minute answers. Yeah. Tips from you from how to engage with the ecosystem as an entrepreneur, etc. How do you get buy-in and so on? We'll start from there and come back to you. Yeah.
On how to
Engage with the ecosystem.
Okay. I would say first, be confident. I think that, you just know yourself. You have it in you. Just be confident, be open. And this is something I tell my kids, be curious. Once you're curious, I believe opportunities don't just come and knock on your door. I think you just have to figure out what is the unlocked door there. and create your opportunities for yourself. Yeah.
Same question, you want to
Yeah.
give another question?
Yeah. In which case, how do you balance experimentation with productivity? That's one big theme which came out of here, which is how much time do you spend building your next line of product, and how much time do you spend milking kind of your current products as an entrepreneur?
I think one thing we probably didn't realize is when every innovation was spoken about, there was an underlying, be it making better space for CNG vehicles. So something was improved, something was made better, right? So that is the whole intention. We are always trying an innovation with a purpose. And yesterday we heard from the Samsung R&D team, right? If that innovation is moving towards something a little bigger than just one idea, right? If it's a platform, it's a framework. I know these words are used very lightly. If there is an idea which can help multiple projects, multiple people, these are the ones which are taken up further. And startups don't have the luxury of having on their own R&D wing. So all of this flows immediately and intrinsically to our projects and our business.
Okay. Last question for you.
If I may
Gen
just
Next and
add-
Gen AI. Sorry?
If I may just add on to the first question you
Yes,
asked.
yes.
I think this is something I want to talk about because this is the biggest problem that we face. When you're trying to build an ecosystem, you forget that you're part of it. So you're just trying to cater to an audience without forgetting the fact that you should be happy with it first. And you should find your loopholes, you should find issues with it first, and you find your problem, fix that, and then fix it for someone else.
Okay, my question for you after this is,
Yeah.
what does Generation Next think of Generation AI, generative AI? So are you guys completely plugged into AI? Are you going to use AI in Minerva, or is AI going to make Minerva obsolete? What do you think?
Of course not. I think education is something that always will need that human touch. And because we're humans building it for humans, I think we'll understand that better than an AI model. But one thing that we will do is leverage AI to our strength and make sure that it's involved. It's already integrated into our platform. So any sort of technical expertise, technical help, any feedback, any questions, all of that is taken care of through AI. And yeah, I think currently it's an indispensable part of how we function. So there's no removing it, it's just growing with it.
Going with it. Wow, brilliant way to end this panel. I've got about only 35 questions more, but we're out of time, and I'm sure you got another 100 questions of your own, but we need to wrap up. So a big round of applause, please, for the speakers, and maybe we can come here for a... Oh, very nice, we do. Okay, good. Questions?
While the shy audience is still thinking of a question, there was one question of Madan's which
Yes.
I was hoping he'll get to ask.
Yeah.
And maybe
Sure.
it was, do you have anything for the entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, one word? It won't be one word. Are you guys interested in that answer?
Yes.
We need a little more enthusiastic response if I have to answer that question, right? Okay, so multiple things, lot of books are there, right? At least this is from my experience. One thing is, we say a lot about there needs to be a mad passion and all that, right? So I think we need to stop at mad, right? There needs to be madness first. Right? You need to be madly so-and-so about it, right? So I heard this somewhere where they said, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So it goes into that. I want to do everything beautifully if it is my philosophy, that's how I'm going to run the company, that's how I'm going to look after the team, that's how I'm going to look after my customer, and so on, right? So that kind of madness, even when you don't have any other name, right? Today, Nailitech, it's not funded by anybody, doesn't have an investor. I don't have the corporate backing I used to have earlier in my career. Nothing, right? We are what Nailitech is. So even with that, you need to have a mad braveness to go in front of the biggest enterprises and say that we'll do a better job than your big fours, right? So don't leave the madness and don't ever stop. Those are my two advices to doing anything really beautifully. Thank you.
Be mad and don't stop. Fantastic. Some more good advice from them. I guess we're out of time now. Let's come in the front maybe and do a group photo kind of thingy.
Kalpana, can I request you to felicitate?
Other group photo, yes.
you all can come forward.
So paparazzi gets busy.
You can be in the middle. No, I was telling Mother.
So first
Thanks,
for,
Madan.
yeah.
Well, the felicitation going, Aparna and I took a call, because some of the sessions have been running late, and we know how bad Bangalore is with its traffic. Sometimes when you're on a flight and they say that the flight is landing early, that it was meant to be, you then had a great experience of the flight. So we felt that instead of, can we try and crunch your time so that you can hit tea and coffee faster? And we make up for all the additional time that was wasted. Not wasted, it was productively wasted, but just to ensure that, you end at a time that you can even get back home, right? Thank you so much, Madan, and the three ladies. And I know Radhika, she's our governance council. Radhika's war story that you heard. We met her while she was at Devik Earth. Devik Earth was one of our winners in the Vanguard last year. And after she joined Wipro, it's a great experience for her to bring her entrepreneurship into the organization. And that was one of the reasons we felt she would be a great bridge between the two worlds, because these are two different worlds, but they are connected with a bridge, as Madan knows, right? Working across the two. Thank you all. Jyoti, Shreya, for making it, despite I know it's very harrowing in the Bangalore traffic, but making it and being very graceful and being able to present, I think that's what true leadership is about. That, we get really tested, but how do we keep our cool and are able to still make sense on a big platform like this? Thank you. Thank you.
Sangeeta couldn't make it, but I want to acknowledge, what's your name again? I forgot. Sorry? Jivan. Jivan, her colleague is over here with the booth outside, so you can get the real story from Jivan afterwards. Thanks, Jivan.
I also think we need to truly appreciate the effort Unfold Consulting is doing. So one thing they said, there was social, scientists, corporates, education, startups, and so many other things. The one thing they truly identified as not just resources, but as the true IP or strength, right? It's not funding, it's not your brand, nothing. It's your people, right? It's your team. And Unfold Consulting is recognizing that as a very key factor. And we are so overjoyed to share the similar ideas. Thank you so much.
Yes, when we, with Madan, worked on the culture of innovation for startups, a lot of people said that first year, don't expect nominations. But we were blown away with the kind of nominations we got and the stories when we curated them. Of course, it went through a jury process. That those founders who are really going to be the winners in the, when you look at it as a long-term winning, and that's what all the stories told us, that because they're there for the long term, they're thinking of the people, right? While the idea is important, but if only when you're looking at being, racing for the long term is when you start looking at people early and not when you're hit by something later. And I think those were the stories that we really got for our Vanguard Awards. So, that it was a great start this year for the awards.